A road rises 2 meters for every 13 meters measured along the road. What is the angle of inclination of the road to the nearest degree? All right, so let's actually just sketch this out quick. So we're going to make a right angle triangle, like we pretty much always do in this unit. And then use the numbers we're given. Let's figure out what those are. So the road rises 2 meters. So the rises is going to be the vertical part. This will be this side of the triangle. Now the common mistake to make on this question is it says it rises 2 meters for every 13 meters measured along the road, right? So that's going to be, so this is the road here. So this is going to be 13. All right, so where some people might have made a mistake is they might have put 13 down here, right? But okay, so now we are looking for the angle. Now let's label the sides of our triangle. So this would be the opposite, and this 13 is now at the hypotenuse. So if we're looking at SOHCAHTOA, you might see that written a little different, right? I just kind of write it that way because it kind of shows like what's over what. Doesn't really matter. But now I can see, so I have opposite and hypotenuse are the two I'm interested in. So that's going to be sine. So this is going to be sine of the angle is equal to, and then opposite over hypotenuse. So 2 over 13. So 2 over 13. All right, so now 2 over 13 is what sine of the angle is. But I don't actually want sine of the angle. I just want the angle. So I need to like unsign this thing. And the way you unsign it is by going sine negative 1. So we're going to go the angle is equal to sine negative 1 of 2 over 13. Okay, so then I'm going to hit second and then sine. So I get that sine negative 1. Your calculator might look a little different, right? And then 2 divided by 13. And make sure you hit this bracket to end it, because if you just typed it in like this, what your calculator might do is it might think you mean sine of 2 and then that divided by 13. So by closing that bracket, I'm saying sine negative 1 of 2 over 13, right? That's like the argument. So push enter. So we get 8.849. And it says to round to the nearest degree. So this would just round up to 9. This would be 9 degrees. All right, moving on to the next one. So now it says, how far does a car travel horizontally when it travels 13 meters along the road? So now it's really just looking for this side. We know two sides of this triangle. So we actually can just use Pythagorean theorem. So Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. But the thing to keep in mind here, though, is we actually know the hypotenuse this time. So it's going to really be actually 13 squared minus 2 squared is equal to x squared. It kind of gets reversed, right? So let's just rewrite that a little different. It's c squared minus, and then you can call whatever one you want. Like this could be a or b, right? So I'll just say b squared is equal to a squared. And then since I called this x up here, actually, I'm going to call that x squared just to stay consistent. All right, so now let's fill this in. So c squared, so this is really 13 squared minus 2 squared is equal to x squared. So if you grab your calculator, so now we're going to get, so 13, and then the squared button is like x to the 2 on my calculator. It might look a little different on yours. So 13 squared minus, and then 2 squared, which is just 4, but I'll write 2 squared. That's equal to 165. All right. Does that make any sense? 165. If this is 13, right? The hypotenuse is 13 and the opposite is 2. Is there any way that that's 165? No, because we didn't finish. We have one more step here, because 165 is equal to x squared. We got to do the opposite of squaring it, so we got to square root it. So we'll square root both sides of this. So the squared and the square root like cancel. So now we just get x is equal to the square root of 165. So that is, so I'll say the square root of 165 is 12.8. And it tells us to give our answer to the nearest tenth of a degree, and it is. And just remember, so the way this works with rounding, right? This was 12.84. So if this would have been a 5, if this number right after would have been 5, this would have rounded up 12.9.